All right, we're back on Sports 225, and I'm going to start out by telling you that my next guest is a big fat liar. His name is Dan Borne, and he's the voice of Tiger Stadium. And you always say, chance of rain in Tiger Stadium, never.
So what's the problem? Don't you know Les called it a heavy mist?
Something, a stiff dew or something like that.
No, a heavy mist.
Heavy mist.
Heavy mist.
Tell me the story about how that came about. It never rains in Tiger Stadium.
I don't know where it started.
So did you just continue it?
Well, no.
Because you took over. Now, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You started in '86, right, as the public address announcer?
I started in '86.
Okay. So tell me the story about It Never Rains in Tiger Stadium.
Growing up in Thibodeau in the '50s, we would come to LSU games with my aunt. We had a family plan. And she took 3 kids with her. And the tickets were 50 cents a piece for the kids in the south end zone. So I grew up in the south end zone with those dim lights. You know, back then we had no television. First time we ever played on television was the Sugar Bowl in January 1, 1959, was the first time LSU was ever on television.
Didn't know
we
that.
went the entire national championship season, and we weren't on television, not one time. And we played Clemson, of course, the rest is history. But my aunt would always say, "Oh, it never rains in Tiger Stadium." It was just a little throwaway line. So, you know, I kind of put that in the back of my head, and then growing up, I heard it other places. You know, and as it worked out, I would give the weathercast every game. Before every game, I would say it's 92 degrees, relative humidity, 300%, whatever it is. Winds from the south at 2 miles an hour, and the chance of rain 40%, whatever it was. I'd throw it out because we'd have a weathercast, like you get, like we all get.
Right.
And one night, just almost parenthetically, without practicing it, I didn't say I'm going to do this. I just said chance of rain, and I said never. And this is this rumble. You could just hear this rumble, and I'm hearing this, and I'm saying.
Do you remember what year?
I cannot remember what year. It's a long time ago. I've been doing this 28 years this year, but I forget when. But it wasn't in the early years. It was somewhere, in sort of the middle years. And of course, John Ed wrote the book, It Never Rains.
Right.
And I talked with him about it, and he said, "Where did it come from?" I said, "I don't know. Where did it come from?" He said, "I don't know. No one knows where it really came from. It just, it's auto-catalyzed. It just came up." And now they've got, right after the coin toss, in the director's script, it has weather forecasts. And so right after the coin toss, and just before they play the video, I say, chance of rain. And then I don't say it for a minute, and then I say never, and everybody screams back at me, never. Yeah, so that's how it started. And
right.
It was just a throwaway line. I never expected it to catch.
Well, we'll cut away now so that you can see the video of Dan saying that the other day, and then the rain.
Yeah.
So,
of course, the point is this.
It was raining really hard when you said it.
Well, it was heavy mist.
Heavy mist.
Of course, reporters, you're all the same. You guys look for the hole instead of the donut. See, I see the donut, you guys see the hole. I told Gilbo that the other night. Gilbo's, he's ragging me for the rain. But you're a terrible meteorologist. You'll never make it. I said, Gilbo, you got to get a brighter outlook on life. You say.
Now you see, one thing I didn't know about Dan until the last time he came on the show, which was 15 years ago or 16 years ago when it was Sports Monday.
Yeah.
We commemorated what I believe was the 25th anniversary at the time of Pete Maravich breaking the all-time scoring record.
Right.
And I didn't know that back in the day you had been a reporter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I had a life as a reporter. I came out of Nichols State to come to graduate school, and at Nichols we did college baseball. In fact, at the time, from '64 to '68, Nichols was the only college baseball program in the country that was on commercial radio. It had a commercial radio deal with the little station down in Thibodeau. It wasn't on a college station or anything like that. And I did that for 4 years, came up, went to work at Channel 9 and worked there for 2 years. Coincidentally, covered LSU sports when Pete Maravich was playing. So I covered that game. That way he set the all-time record.
The game stops and they all go out on the floor. And
the
everything.
game stops, and I'm actually shooting a handheld camera, and I'm also recording everything natural sound because I eventually filed a report for CBS Radio. I was working with CBS Radio that evening, but I was shooting film for Channel 9 as well. And and I'm in that film going around with that little camera. The show stopped, and it wasn't the crowd, Lee, that rushed on. It was the reporters. The reporters rushed on, stopped the game.
Yeah.
And Bob Scarce goes up to Pete and says, "Pete, what was it that did it? What was it that did it?" And Pete said, "Well, it was that shot right there, Bob. I got to play a basketball game." And we did interviews with press and Pete after the game, and I still have those. But it's one of those great moments. You look back on individual records. I doubt that the individual record of the points per season and the total points will ever be broken. No kid's going to stay around 3 years and play basketball who can average 44 points a game. So
no, and also don't forget, of course, there was no 3-point shot.
Right, and no shot and no shot clock.
Well, and not to forget that Dan is also the public address announcer for LSU basketball games, for which when I was the beat writer for about 8 years, and of course I would sit across from him, we had some pretty funny exchanges, and a lot of them were nonverbal. But before we go to break, we'll go with the one. So in around, Dan, what was it, around 1990?
1991, somewhere in that neighborhood.
When they introduced what they call the 10th shot foul. So at 7 fouls, you get a 101, which means if you make the first, you get the second.
And it's called the bonus.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the 8th and the 9th. But then they introduced on the 10th foul, the 10th team foul, it was an automatic 2-shot foul.
Right.
And so Dan renamed it
the super bonus.
The super bonus. And I'll never forget, I was sitting with Brian Lazar, and we looked at each other, and we looked at him, and you looked at us, and we just cracked up.
Well, of
over
course,
it.
you were outraged that I'd come up with it before you did. In fact, a couple of years later, guess what? I'm listening to the regionals, NCAA, on CBS Radio. Guy uses super bonus.
I knew it.
I said, it's catching.
You know what's a super bonus? Having you on the show.
Thank you.
I got you for 3 more segments. So we're going to take a break. Dan Borne is here. He is the voice of Tiger Stadium. He's also the public address announcer for LSU, and he has a real job, too. We'll talk about all those things when we get back. I'm Lee Feinswag. You're watching Sports 225.